I've been driving trucks for nearly 15 years, and one unforgettable incident from 2017 stands out. I was on an overnight haul, crossing the Mojave Desert in California, bound for Arizona. The cargo? Probably appliances, though I don't quite recall. The desert was pitch black, the only light coming from my truck's headlights, which had been dim for ages since I'd been putting off getting them fixed. Usually, I didn't notice, but on a deserted road like this, it became all too obvious. I found myself straining my eyes just to see ahead, stopping for a couple of hours until sunrise crossed my mind, but I needed the money and didn't want to waste time. So I kept going, convinced it'd be okay since the road was mostly a straight shot. Then, about an hour before dawn, something caught my eye in the distance, moving fast toward me. Fearing it was an animal, I hit the brakes hard, and my truck screeched to a stop. Right in front of me was a car with its hazard lights flashing, sitting dead center on the double yellow line. Stranger still, the passenger door was wide open. I stopped my truck barely a foot away. I'm usually a pretty fearless guy, so I wasn't scared, just curious. Maybe someone needed a jump, I thought, so I reversed, pulled over and walked over to check it out. It was eerily quiet. The only sound was the faint clicking of the hazard lights. The car, a new-looking red Ford Fusion, stood there deserted. I peeked inside only to find it completely empty. I checked the back seat, the trunk. It was all clear. The uneasiness started settling in. Suddenly I felt watched, glancing around to see if anyone was nearby. I decided to investigate further and found the keys in the ignition. The trunk was jammed, so I tried accessing it from the back seat, eventually getting it open. Inside, there were 3 suspicious-looking garbage bags tied with a rope. I reached for them, but just then, the loudest gunshot I've ever heard echoed through the desert night. Startled, I threw the keys down, scrambled back to my truck, and climbed in. As I started the truck, I heard someone shouting in the distance. Looking back, I saw a short, stocky guy with red hair, wearing overalls and holding a small shovel in one hand and an old hunting rifle in the other. Our eyes locked as he waved at me, calling out, "Wait!" But there was no way I was stopping. I floored it, speeding off into the night. A few minutes later, headlights appeared fast in my rearview mirror, closing in on me. My heart raced. I called the police, trying to explain what was happening, all while the car behind me honked and swerved dangerously close. After about 15 tense minutes, police lights flashed up ahead. The guy veered off, disappearing into the desert. The officer took my statement but didn't pursue him immediately, which left me frustrated and on edge. They promised to look into it, but I never heard back. Even now, I can't fully explain what happened that night. My buddies have wild stories, but this one tops them all. It makes you wonder what kind of things people are really doing out there in the middle of nowhere. Since that night, I've never been completely comfortable driving through deserted areas. You never know what or who you might encounter.